Hello, hello, family and friends. Thank you so much for being with me once again for Un Cafecito con Mari. Today, I want to reflect on an article that I saw in one of my favorite sites, which is the How Many Work site. I saw this article and it really resonated with me. It really made a lot of sense with me. For those of you who don't know, I was a high school teacher for 24 years. And of course, I value formal education. Formal education was my livelihood. And although I did teach my students information and I did teach my students a language, what's most important to me was the life lessons that they were learning from me, life lessons that hopefully made them better citizens of the world. So that was always my goal. So yes, formal education is of course important. Don't get me wrong. However, this article really resonated with me. Life is about learning. When you stop learning, you die. I know that sounds a little morbid and I apologize for that, but this is Tom Clancy, world renowned. Holy cow, I love his books. But this author is telling us the truth. I have never stopped learning. I love to learn new things. Most recent thing was to learn to crochet again. So there you go. You saw it on my Facebook, right? So learning, learning, learning. And then here's this guy. Holy cow, one of the most prominent minds of the 20th century, right? Of the 21st century. Learning is experience. Everything else is just information. I feel like my formal education to be a teacher was just that information. I learned a ton of information, but it wasn't until I did my student teaching when I was observing a teacher in the field, when I was observing how they dealt with certain situations, how they dealt with, something as menial as taking attendance and not taking too long taking attendance. It was learning on the field. It was the experience. That 1 year of student teaching taught me so much. And just like when you want to become a doctor, you're a doctor, you go to, formal schooling. However, you do 3 years internship. Why? Because we learn the most hands on. We learn the most when we observe and when we learn from the habits of the people that we want to replicate, right? So if you want to be a teacher, you study a teacher. If you want to be a doctor, you study a doctor. So what happens if you want to be rich? It says we should study. This article says why you should study the wealthy. Hey, you want to be wealthy? Study the wealthy. They know. They have tricks. They have habits. They have um, things that they have put in place for themselves that guarantee that they are going to be wealthy for the rest of their lives. You want to be financially independent? How do the wealthy do it? Find out, study the wealthy, because observing the wealthy is one of the most effective guides for creating wealth. We will learn. We will learn from them how to reduce debt, how to increase cash flow, and how to protect what you earn as well. That is incredibly important. Start by observing your social circles, maybe a friend, a family member, or a mentor. Thankfully, I had two incredibly savvy women in my life, my mother and my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was amazing. She would give me books. She would give me information on what I needed to do to make sure that I was going to have enough money to last me through retirement. However, my mom gave me experience. I saw what she did on a daily basis. When we had our business, I remember that the very first $150 that came into the business a day, the very first $150 that came in, she would take and she would put them in an envelope. And that envelope, nobody ever knew where that envelope was and nobody ever touched that envelope except for her. So by the end of the month, she had enough to pay our rent, which was substantial because we didn't own the property that our business was in. She had enough to pay all of our tuition bills. She had enough for us to live well. We lived well in my childhood, at least my childhood. My siblings had it a little tougher. So yeah, I learned from her through experience the importance of saving. If you want to save $5,000, it's easier if you save it in little chunks daily than it is trying to save it in one paycheck. So I learned all of those habits from her. If no one in your circle fits that description, it's not hard to study the wealthy from a distance. Read a biography. Oh my God, if you haven't read the biography of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, his insights on real estate, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Read it. Watch some CEOs, some TED Talks. Um, I remember watching Susie Orman. I don't know if you all remember her, but Susie Orman was the big especially financial guru, especially for women. And she was one that my mother-in-law used to always refer me to. Did you see the interview that they had the other day on this channel? They're going to interview her. Make sure you watch it. So those were the things that I was looking at. Or find other financial experts on social media. Holy cow, there's plenty out there. Plenty out there, plenty of books that you can read. Be consistent. Treat it as your job. Growing your wealth is your job. That is your business, and you need to mind your own business. Why? Because it's just the only way to do it. If you treat your money like a business, as this was not an original thought. This came from Rich Man, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read that book. Incredible. Also, this is why I brought it up, and this is why I want to make sure I do not consider myself an expert. However, I do hold an incredible resource that I would love to give you. The resource is called the How Money Works book. In English, it's called Stop Being a Sucker. In Spanish, it's Cómo Funciona el Dinero. No dejes que te tumben el pelo. I recommend it to you wholeheartedly. It's $15 on Amazon. You can get it from me. Just send me your address and I will put it in the mail tomorrow. Cómo funciona el dinero, no dejes que te tumben el pelo. Send me your email, send me your address, and I'll put it in the mail. And thank you so much for listening. Love you guys, and I hope you learned something small today.